What's up, everybody? I want to talk about the Circus era on today because, first of all, this was the first era that I really, truly got to follow completely 100%. Go to the tour, buy the singles, magazines, everything. Like, I have my whole Circus era book bag. I have a whole bag in my closet, girl. I got the tour merchandise. Like, I had a scrapbook where I was cutting out the magazine clippings, like, all that bullshit. Singles left and right, albums, like, merchandise, like, all that shit. Like, that was when I really decided, like, that was when I first became a stan of anybody. Like, I truly was a stan beforehand, but I felt like that was the first era I really got to follow, because Blackout, girl, what was there to follow, really? So Circus was, like, the first big thing. So that's the first thing. Like, what a memory for me. What a time. What a moment in my career. Now, I do believe, though, that this era could have been, it was big. It was very big. It was cool. Lots of success, especially in the beginning, but I felt like this album could have been, like, massive, like, totally massive, like, one of the biggest eras of, like, the decade. That's what like, 100%, it could have been, like, Emancipation Mimi, like, Madonna's Confessional on Dance Floor, like, that's what this album could have been, and she didn't even really have to put that much effort into it if they just switched a few things, picked some different singles, or did more singles. But we're gonna get right, that's gonna be the bulk of this conversation, is the single choices, because I felt like there were certain things that we could have done to make this album massive. Like, this would have been a massive success, one. Two, we also could have changed Britney's image a little bit more, but we'll get into that right now. So first of all, they started off amazingly. First single, Womanizer, was iconic. The music video was perfect. Song choice was great. And it was the first time in a while, and since then, really, that she had a single that was so massive worldwide and in the States. It was her first #1 in like 10 years on the Hot 100, which it also broke a record, 97. It was on number 97 on the Hot 100 in like the first week of October, and then the next week it went #1. So first it broke a record and went #1. So that was like, great PR, great comeback story, amazing. Also went #1 on pop radio, which she hasn't had in years at that point as well. So Womanizer smashed it at exactly what it needed to do. Amazing start to the era. Amazing. And then Circus, just as great. It was massive worldwide as well. In America, went #3 on the Hot 100, went #1 on radio, like, and the music video, perfect, bitch, like, perfect. Like, there was really nothing going on wrong, like, the way they set up. And in the first week, the Circus album sold 505,000 copies, the fuck, and went #1. So, which, of course, I mean, I believe it was the second biggest sales week of a female that year. The first one was Taylor Swift with, like, 590,000. I think if Britney did, like, a little bit more promo that week in America, or maybe the week before, she could have hit 600,000 and beat Taylor. Like, if they just did one more little thing, I think they really could have done that, but whatever. Not a big deal. Point is, smash. Everything was just going incredibly well. Now, I think the first problem was making If You See gave me a third single. That's not what I would have done, so let's get into that. First of all, I felt like, it was too much upbeat already. Not that okay, let's get it straight. If You See gave me was a big hit. It was a big hit, definitely. It was #7 on the pop radio, and it was #19 on Hot 100. So definitely a big hit, but I felt like career-wise and era-wise, we could have done something different. Why? First of all, Womanizer and Circus, 2 up-tempo, pop, fun dance songs. Then we had, before that, was Break the Ice, Piece of Me, Gimme More, like, all upbeat pop songs, which is great. But at this point in time, sis, this was a time where radio and everybody was on your side, so this was a time we could have switched up the sound a little bit. Third single should have been a slower song, 100%, should have been a mid-tempo or a ballad. Now, if we're going with what was exactly on the album, and we're not, like, going with bonus tracks or trying to switch up anything, I would have made a third single Out From Under, just because, it speaks to the struggles that she was going through at the time. It was a ballad, it was slower, it was a change of pace, and I think it would have done well. I think it would have done really well and would have been a big help. Album sales, would have given her more. It just would have switched up her career a little bit more. That way, in the future, she could have released ballads, and it wouldn't be like, oh, Britney's doing a ballad, we don't want that. You know what I mean? Because at this point, they would have eaten up anything that she would have released. So third single should have been a ballad. So if we're going with the album, I would have picked Out From Under. But, bitch, if we're a genius, which this would have been genius, release Quicksand as the third single. Release Quicksand as the third single. Master it a little bit more because it was an unreleased song. But if it was mastered exactly the way it needed to be, and it should have been a duet with Lady Gaga, because first of all, her background vocals are all throughout that song anyway, because she wrote it. So now imagine third single's Quicksand, with Lady Gaga, who at the time was just blowing up. Like, Poker Face was just coming out, going #1. Like, imagine how massive this would have been. You have the Queen of Pop at the moment, and then you have Lady Gaga, who was just like the new reigning, you know, pop queen. And, you know, it just would have been so amazing. And then she wrote the song, they're duetting on it. It would have been like, this would have been such a moment. Like, I think everyone would love that. Imagine the music video, they're wearing like gorgeous dresses, like in the desert. And something symbolic. Like, think about like Frozen, Madonna, like that music video, except a little more bright. You know, they're in the desert, they're like falling into quicksand or some bullshit. Who the fuck knows? Maybe helping each other out without being tacky. But you know what I mean? Like, something like that. Either way, it would have been, first of all, Quicksand is such a good song to me. Second of all, it would have been a change of pace. Third of all, huge star with a new upcoming huge star who at the time was always talking about Britney's my biggest influence. I love Britney. So Britney and Gaga take on the world as a third single from Circus would have been massive, massive hit, massive pop song. And, you know, I think it would have really helped the whole album and the era. So third single should have been Quicksand with Gaga. Or, if we aren't being too crazy, like, since that song doesn't really exist with Gaga like that, and it wasn't on the album technically, then we could have done Out From Under. But I still think Quicksand with Gaga would have been the #1 choice and would have kept going with making this album, like, massive. Okay, so next up, bitch, would have been fourth single would have been If You Seek Me at this point. Now, because now it's summer and we're bringing the pop back, you know, poppy, fun, great song. And it's summery, you know, it's this very like upbeat anthem. Now, what I would have done, first of all, the music video should have been more, you know, I like the music video now looking back on it, but I felt like if we're doing this cycle that I'm making, should have been like very bright, should have been very summer, like, maybe like a big ass like pool party. She could have done the same type of theme where it was like what goes on inside is not the same thing going on outside, like the double entendre, like of her having a sex orgy in the house and then outside she was like Little Miss Perfect, you know, housewife with the pie. She could have done something along those lines, but something more bright, you know, maybe bikini by the pool, they're having like an orgy at the pool outside the backyard, and then when she came out she could have been still with the apple pie, you know what I mean? Something similar, but just more bright, more sexy, more choreography, and something really by the pool, sunny, just drinking, you know, margaritas, you know, something like that. Like, so something very summer because at that time it would have been, fourth single, it would have been June, July 2009, which would have been epic. So now, bright, fun video, because If You Seek Me, the video was great, but I felt like it didn't match the efforts of Womanizer and Circus to videos. Like, Womanizer and Circus music videos were incredible. Circus was so theatrical. They were just like movies. But the If You Seek Me, I think the problem with it was just, first of all, it's grainy as fuck, girl. Like, it does not look high definition. Like, it's grainy. It's like, I don't like the colors. It's like, I don't know. It doesn't look great to me. I just don't like the aesthetic of that video that much. So I think it should have been more, remember 2009 BMA promo where she was like in that white bikini with the hat? Something like that. Like, bright, white bikini pool. Okay, now, then, when she did Teen Choice Awards, she won the Ultimate Choice Icon Award or whatever. She should have done it If You Seek Me performance exactly how she did it on the Circus tour. Like, very fun with the pink little boa thing around her neck and the hammer and hitting the dancers and like the cute little Barbie doll choreography, while looking like a gorgeous queen, because she was looking so good in that performance. And at the Teen Choice Awards she looked amazing. Like, all Circus era she was gorgeous. So now imagine that, bitch. She's winning the Ultimate Choice Award at Teen Choice. And then she's performing something that performance-wise looks very fun, looks very sweet, like, you know, little girly, like Barbie girl, like very fun. But the song is very sexual, obviously. So, like, we would have hit the controversy because, first of all, the song is sexual. Now she's performing a song that says fuck me at the Teen Choice Awards. Like, wow, a moment. But it wouldn't have looked so sexual where it would be too much because the performance is very fun. So, like, she would have been, just like back in the day, would have been, you know, kind of crossing the line between what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. So everyone would have been like, okay, well, you know, the performance doesn't look that sexual, so they can't really go after her for that, but the song was. You know what I mean? So it would have been a good little controversy moment. Okay, incredible. So If You Seek Me would have obviously smashed with that hot-ass video and a fun performance where she looks very alive, so people wouldn't... Remember at the time, people were talking a lot about, like, oh, she's, like, dead in the face. No. When she performed If You Seek Me, she was living and loving. Because it was a very easy performance to do. You know what I mean? But you saw her character. You saw her energy. It was very fun. Okay, now. After that, we should have hit the fifth. And remember, back in the day, back in 2008, 2009, people were doing like 5 singles, 6 singles. So this isn't like unrealistic. Fifth single, then, and plus I wanted it to be a massive era, which it should have been, and it could have been, because this was the comeback moment. Like, this was where everybody was on her side, radio was on her side. Like, she really could have done anything. Anything big. So, moving on to the fifth single, I think she should have made Kill the Lights, now getting an urban moment. So now at this point we have Womanizer, which was electro pop, Circus, which was just pop, you know what I mean? Same way If You Seek Amy. Then you would have Quicksand, which was a mid-tempo, you know, ballady type of moment. And now we would have Kill the Lights, which was urban. So now we're hitting all different genres, all different sounds, all different markets. Okay, so she would hit us with Kill the Lights, fifth single. And to me, I always pictured this having a Lil Wayne verse. At the time, Lil Wayne was obviously massive, and I think this wasn't necessary. I don't think, like, I'm not saying that was necessary. We didn't need to add a Lil Wayne verse to it, but I think as a bridge, throw Lil Wayne on as a quick little verse, I think would have made it even bigger at the time. And then this would have been released like September, so she could have kicked it off with a VMA performance, and it would have been like an iconic VMA performance. Like, this would have been, you know, while we would have had If You Seek Amy being the very fun teen choice moment, Kill the Lights would have been her big, like, dance comeback moment, where big production, gritty choreography, awesome production, you know, costumes, very dark. I'm picturing blacks and, like, whites, you know, just something very, I don't know, something very theatrical, but also urban, like, urban choreography-wise, like, something very hip-hop. And then we could have had Lil Wayne. We could do or do without him, but I felt like just to make this era really, really poppin', I just always, back then I was like, bitch, she needs to throw a Lil Wayne verse on it. I was just, like, so obsessed with that concept, because it really just would have shot up off the roof. But let's just say he wasn't on it, it still would have smashed. Big VMA performance, something gritty and sexy. I remember when she was doing an interview, they asked her about Kill the Lights, and she said she loved dancing to that because it was urban, her favorite thing, and because she loved to get nasty to it with the dancers. So, like, she probably had a very sexy group orgy type of choreography, mixed up with something jazzy, hip-hop-y choreography-wise. Would have been a smash. Would have been a fucking smash. I actually heard that song on the radio, like, twice. Back in 2009, when the album was first out for a couple months, I would hear it, like, whenever I would switch the radio station, I would hear it, like, here and there, and I was like, bitch, this would make an epic song. My parents loved that song, too. Like, it was just gritty, like, and it was so catchy. It would have been a great single, and it also would have discussed the media as well, so, like, something a little more personal, just like Quicksand. So we're hitting all the dots here. Okay, now, at this point, she would have still been smashing. It would have been fucking incredible. Please hold. Sixth single should have been Unusual You. This would have been, like, right after the fall, so, like, winter. It would have been, like, December 2009, January 2010, like, right after the Circus tour wrapped up. It would have been, like, the final bow on the box, bow on the gift, and we would have wrapped up, packed up, ribbon with a bow on it. And what we would have done, Unusual You would have been perfect. Why? Because it's, first of all, it was very different sound-wise. It was very European. It was very just, like, it was just different from what was going on the radio at the time, which I felt like whenever Britney does something different, everyone follows. So we needed that trend-setting moment. I think Unusual You as a final single would have done that. First of all, it was everyone's favorite. Like, everyone loved the song so much. That's first of all. Second of all, it was just gorgeous. It was trancy. It was catchy. It was hooky, but it was so different. That's the main point here. And it was like, again, we're changing up the sound. We're going a little European, kind of a ballad, kind of a mid-tempo, just like a whole lot of different things going on. And it was, again, personal lyric-wise. Something hitting with relationships, as opposed to what they did with the Circus era, which was Womanizer, Circus, then If You Seek Amy, and then Radar. Like, it was just the same sound over and over again, just poppy, electronic. And, you know, there was nothing really personal to it. Like, this was an era where we had an album with a lot of songs that had a lot of potential. So, she was on Unusual You as a sixth single. Perfect for winter. Music video, bitch. Imagine. It's snowy, because, you know, it's wintertime in real life, so we'll have a snowy moment. Because I feel like the song kind of feels like winter. It's just very, like, I just always felt like walking through the snow was the aesthetic when I was listening to it. It's very vibey that way. So let's picture she's in, like, a grand mansion, like something very old school, like upstate New York, like dead trees around, but, like, snow, gorgeous snow, lit up all around the place. And she's, like, in a very manor-esque mansion. Like, not a mansion, but, like, a manor. You know what I mean? Like, something very old school. Big, you know, estate. and she's giving you very, what do you call it, damsel in distress, or like, what do you call that, like, I guess like someone, when their husband dies, like a widow, like a, you know, black widow girl. She's in her black dress, like very dramatic by the window, and I'm picturing something very like, the spirit of her ex-husband is like following her around the house and like following her around the whole manor, like something kind of haunted, but it's like beautiful, like bittersweet. So like she's thinking about all the memories of her dead husband at this point, and the spirit is kind of haunting her through the house. So like you have this spiritual ghost thing kind of like following her around, like picking at her in the mirror, but it's not so much scary. It's more like beautiful, like bittersweet moment. And like that was the unusual you, girl. It's giving you, you know, you were such an amazing person, and now you're dead, girl. You were unusual, and now you're even more unusual because you're a spirit up in this house. You're following us in the mirrors, and you know, something like that, something very creepy. Like you're seeing his footprints in the snow, and she's like following it around, like something like that, something gorgeous, something symbolic. Some narrative that really follows that. Maybe we could have seen like flashbacks of like him like dying in like a car crash, like something, but not like too dramatic, like not like an explosion, just like, you know, like horror, like very 1800s is what I'm picturing, something like that. I think that would have been a beautiful cinematic, a narrative piece, gorgeous. Okay, then we could have wrapped up the whole era at the Grammys. She could have done Unusual You. And maybe like a medley. So the first song could have been Circus to, you know, really wrap up the whole album and be like, remember this, bitch? We're not forgetting this. I really smashed with Circus here. Could have done a theatrical Circus, kind of like Good Morning America, like with the whole circus thing going on, great choreography. She could have done Circus, and then she could have done Unusual You. Something like Shadow in the Onyx Hotel tour, where she was like drifting up, you know, something just very cinematic and gorgeous. Something like that. And then she could have swept the whole album of the year, bitch. A song of the year, like give us everything, give us all the accolades. She would have swept the whole night. And that is what I pictured for the Circus era. That is what I always pictured, something just really iconic, massive, without having to do, like, I remember at the time people want her to promote, like, interviews here, do this, do that, do this, do that. But I feel like this would have been something that could have easily been done. Really, the only work that she would have had to done was a VMA performance, a Grammy performance, and a Teen Choice performance. 3 little performances, you know, nothing like what Today's Show, Tonight's Show, all this, no. Just 3 big performances, great music videos, great single choices where we got different sounds coming through, and, you know, great music videos. It would have really cemented her as, you know, being able to do different sounds, being able to do different type of music videos. Because, like, she tried to do that with Radar, but it just didn't make sense, girl. Not with this song. Nobody wanted it with that. And nobody wanted Radar to be out again. It was just out with Blackout. Like, who had time? Like, this didn't make sense. And then plus the same sound over and over again. Why? This is her comeback moment. This is the time radio was really following her and everybody was really buying her songs and shit. There should have been the time where she really switched it up. And I feel like with my plan, that could have really worked. But, also, 2 other things that she should have done, which, again, really easy, just small, like, things that weren't complicated for her to do. They were just, like, would have been massive and would have been a big brand and image change for the rest of her career. Would have been, first of all, a big partnership, and not with Candies. Please remove Candies from the situation. Like, why? They were really cheapening her brand at that point already, which made no fucking sense to me. She should have done a big brand sponsorship with, like, Beats, because Beats at the time was really massive, as it still is, but, like, that was the time when it was really popping. Should have done Beats sponsorship, so every time someone would turn on the commercials, they would show her gorgeous face with Beats, which everybody was buying, make her look more hip, cool, and they could have been playing her songs as part of the Beat commercial, so that would have been iconic. You know, you were seeing her posters all over the place with Beats. And she also should have done Perfume. She did Hidden Fantasy and Circus Fantasy, but girl, first of all, there were no commercials. Second of all, what the fuck was that? We didn't need a flanker. She should have done a brand new Perfume with, like, an amazing commercial that was very, like, remember, like, Curious Fantasy, something that was, like, very awe-striking and something that would have had her all around. So we would have had a big Perfume with a great commercial, Beats commercial all over the place. So she would have been, like, doing big things that would have had her very exposed to the media and, like, oh my god, look at how amazing she is. Because I felt like with Circus, it just dropped off right after the Circus song. It just kind of, if you see Gaming, made a splash, but barely. Like, it did, but it was just, like, it kind of came and it went, and then Radar did nothing. I just felt like with this and Beats and a new Perfume with a great commercial, these little things, great single choices, great performances, would have really smashed the whole era. and I felt like it would have sold way more because it started off selling so much, like 500,000. I think it hit like 900,000 sold in America alone in the first like month, and then it completely, overall, it sold like 1.7 million, which means it sold half of its copies in its first month. Which, with my plan, bitch, she would have been like, I felt like 4 million would have been the best selling album of the year. You know, with the Circus tour, which was massive already, so we didn't need to do anything with that. It just would have been like the era to be heralded, girl. It would have been a massive swan song moment. It would have been the emancipation. It would have been Confessions, without even having to have done that much. You know what I mean? Just big moments here and there. Whatever. And it would have changed her whole career as a trajectory because, you know, at that point she was just doing the same thing. Just pop song, electro, pop song, boom, boom, boom. That's what you're gonna give us when you had the rest of this shit that you really could have switched up her image musically. You know what I mean? Musically. So, y'all let me know what you guys think of my ideas. Then let me know what your ideas were, because I mean, I felt like there was so much you could have done with this album, really. So let me know what you guys think of mine. Let me know what you guys would have done. Any ideas that you guys have. Any other videos you guys want me to do. If you guys like this type of video, let me know what else era you would want me to do or discuss. And thanks for watching.